Today we've got a really cool Facebook Marketplace pickup that we're going to turn into a pretty sick gravel bike with drop bars. This is a 1996 Cannondale M900 that I got for only around 50 bucks from some guy who had it sitting for around a decade or so. It's in pretty decent shape, but we're just going to just tear it down. These brake cables had some extra thick sheathing on them. Not sure why. I think it might have had something to do with the paint that rubbed off there on the fork. That's pretty common with these 90s Cannondales. These older Coda Cannondale components are pretty cool. We won't be reusing too many of them outside the brakes, except the brakes, but cool to see them in such good shape. Grips on the handlebars were pretty easy to come off, all things considered. Not stuck on there too much at all. The late 90s Cannondales are really good mountain bikes to do conversions on because they have a threadless stem, so you don't have to bother with any sort of quill adapter to get it threadless. You can basically put on any modern stem you want to use with any modern handlebar. This old twist grip shifter had kind of fallen apart, as you can see. Don't think it's salvageable, but that's okay because I don't really like that style of shifter anyway. You can see some of the cool graphics there on the Coda brake levers. Gonna have to save those for a future build. Gonna save that old handlebar and this old stem for potentially a future project. Handlebar's got cool graphics on it, like I said, but not near as wide or ergonomic as modern bars. Front wheel also has got a pretty cool older Coda hub on it. Really nice kind of brushed anodized finish. And here we have the P-bone fork. Headset's in really pretty good shape. I'll be re-greasing it, taking it apart, but it spins fine right now. And here we've got the Coda cantilever brakes. And yeah, take out the P-bone fork. It's in there, but not too badly. Bearings are in really pretty good shape. We're gonna clean up these Coda cranks. This is probably the coolest part of the build. You can see how well they came out. And yeah, using some steel wool to clean the brake mounts. It's a really good way to take off any sort of corrosion or rust. You can see how well they shine up. Same thing for the rear brakes. This is a size large frame, which is perfect for my height, so one of the reasons I had to pick this one up immediately. Lots of the old Cannondales do not have the stickers anymore for the frame sizing, so you'll have to measure it yourself or make sure the buyer did due diligence. Yeah, cleaning up the rims with the steel wool. Now we're gonna get into some polishing. Just some automotive polish and a polishing head for my drill, but it works pretty well. I didn't use too much force or too abrasive of a compound, so you'll see that some of the scuffs will stay on the paint, but it shined up pretty nicely. I put painter's tape over all the logos just because I didn't want to have any issues with wearing those out, since the old Cannondale 90s logos are pretty sweet. You can get a similar polishing head at Harbor Freight. Compared to this one I got on Amazon for a lot less. That's probably what I would recommend. And yeah, now we're going to clean the rest of the frame now that it's all apart. Just Basic automotive soap. Whenever you're cleaning a car or a bike, you gotta have the Crocs on. You can see here how well that paint is held up. The Cannondale logos on the actual frame are pretty much perfect. The M900 was one of the top of the line rigid fork mountain bikes for 1996 for Cannondale. Which all it really means is it's got the P-bone front fork and it's a little bit lighter than some of the other models like the M500. And yeah, doing the same automotive polish and clean up to the frame just like we did on the fork. Nothing too abrasive, so some of the scuffs are going to stay, but I just want to make sure that as much paint as possible stays on the frame and we don't take off too much clear coat. And there we go. It's cleaned up really pretty nicely. There's some scuffs that I hope to get out, but you can see here, especially by the logo, it's pretty much spotless. Getting those cleaned up cranks back on. These cranks are a two-piece design, which is pretty unique, but it does make it so if you have any teeth break on one of the cogs, it's pretty much done. Make sure to use lots of anti-seize or grease when you're putting on the cranks, especially with these square taper ones. This can prevent any squeaking. Yeah, cantilever brakes going on. These old Cannondale cantilevers have a pretty strange system for setting up the tension. You'll actually have to use two wrenches with that top nut, and you want it basically vertical as you tighten it down, and that'll set your tension. It doesn't have any springs that go into the holes you'll see for like typical cantilever brakes. So yeah, because you just got to hold the top into position. And then same thing on the front. I've got my new stem on, and then a used Salsa gravel bar just got from the bike shop, but it should work pretty nicely. These type of stems are pretty nice for the older 90s to gravel and drop bar conversions because they make it way more ergonomic. I just got a pair of pretty basic 3x8 Shimano grifters. They're not too fancy, but they were cheap and they'll do the job well. Gotta make sure to put on the derailleur hanger. You can actually still buy these from a couple suppliers. And then yeah, getting the rear 8-speed on. These can be a pain to torque, and I did end up tightening a little bit more later on. Got a great deal on a set of Billy Bonker tires for this one, so it's what we went with. I think the Maxxis DTH tires are probably what I'd like to do in the future since they've got better rolling resistance, but these Billy Bonkers will work for now. Yeah, finishing up the first set of brakes at the front. Cantilever brakes are never fun to set up, but they work all right. Greasing the seat post. On these aluminum frames, you really want to make sure you use as much grease as you can because it will squeak. Yeah, starting to run the cables. I always like to cut a little bit more than I know I'll need because you can always take more off later, but if you have too little, it can be a big waste. I like to use a pick here to just kind of make sure the ends of these cables after they're cut are all clear. Lots of times, even with that Park Tool cutter, you'll find that the ends are just not that clean and the cable might have a little bit of trouble going through it. Just checking, make sure I've got enough slack. Sometimes too, if your cable's too short, it'll pull the handlebar one way or the other. And that can be a real pain, especially if you're riding with no handlebars. It can just pull the other way. Throw on some electrical tape. This bike's got a really weird rear derailleur hanger for the cable at the back there. That was a real pain to get. It's like right around the seat post. Not the best design and kind of leads to a pretty mushy feel in the rear brakes, so eventually I might end up upgrading to V-brakes so I don't have to deal with it. You can see that right behind the seat post clamp there. It's kind of got some play, so that's why it's not the best design, but it's what Cannondale chose to go with. New pads. Brakes are going pretty well. Torquing down the other crank. That's inspired by the Suzuki motorcycle in the back with the blue and yellow. So I found some yellow cables I had laying around from an older build and went with those. Some more of that blue cable in the back instead of the rear derailleur. Rear derailleurs on these drop bar conversions on 90s mountain bikes are really pretty easy because you can adjust them at the rear derailleur. Front derailleur on this one was a pain to set up, to be honest. Basically just have to tension it by hand since the shifter doesn't have any sort of adjustment where the cable goes in. But we did eventually get there. It just takes a decent amount of trial and error. This front derailleur was not set up at all correctly when I bought the bike. Limits were completely off. So yeah, brand new chain. It's a 7-speed chain, but those work fine as 8-speed speeds. Just marking where I'm going to cut the chain, give it a couple extra links, and we're good to go. Shifting well, rear 8 speeds all go through the gears pretty much dialed in. It's all Shimano Dior XT. I got a pretty cheap grip for these guys. I think I'm going to change it out eventually, but for now it's all right. Switching out the saddle for a charged spoon. This is probably my favorite saddle of all time. Just really comfortable. They hold up really well to weather, abuse, wear. And there we go. And here it is, the final project. Yeah, so here we have the full 3x8 setup. Just took it on its first kind of shakedown ride, and everything's working really well. I threw on some pretty basic mountain bike pedals that had the little nut grips taken out, just so they would work better with street shoes. That's how I'm normally going to be using the bike, just for running the gym and stuff. But yeah, working out the fit a little bit. Did end up raising the saddle, but everything's running really smooth. The Billy Bonkers are not the best gravel tire, but they're a solid all-arounder for pretty cheap. I picked these up from a bike shop out in Portland for about 35 bucks each. The Billy Bonkers are, yeah, really good value for what you get, and they ride pretty smooth on pavement, light gravel. You can take it to the pump track for fun. I'm probably gonna end up doing that here in Seattle. But yeah, stay tuned for more builds. We're gonna be doing another one on a Cannondale M900 I just picked up. It's in a lot worse shape than this, so it's gonna be a bit more in-depth. Gonna be doing some tutorials as well and some other fun projects, cars, photography, and everything. So subscribe for more.